Hey guys, welcome back to the Merchant Services Slayers page. This is going to be my first tip video, guys, out there that's going to really help some of the younger sales professionals out there that are working in merchant services, also those that have been in merchant services for a long time, but they need a little bit of a kind of refresher or a mind kick real quick to get them started and get their portfolio off the ground. So what we're going to talk about today, guys, is one quick tip on why this step is overlooked in our industry a lot. It's not really talked about. It's part of the steps of the sale within merchant services called the confident introduction, or what we call the introduction phase. And it's very important to understand this because we see a lot of younger merchant services professionals that kind of bypass this step. Even sales trainers that bypass this step all the time, but it's extremely crucial and important. So we're going to talk about a few different things today to kind of help you wrap your head around the idea about this. And the confident introduction is probably one of the most, if not probably one of the most important steps in your steps of the sale in dealing with merchants and clients. The confident introduction, when you meet someone face to face, so this is for outside sales or even over the phone, that individual is going to be placing every sentence, word, statement, and thought process based off of the first 7 seconds of you meeting them. So it's important to understand is that you need to first off put yourself in a very good place with your merchant before you decide to open your mouth or even make yourself visible. Okay, so when I was in the field doing this, guys, I made it very apparent that I had to put myself in a good space to where either I was approaching the merchant or the merchant was approaching me. So whether I was in their store and I would wait till they would come up to me and make the introduction, or whether they were busy and I would help them mop the floor as they were mopping the floor and they were looking, who's this guy mopping the floor? But the confident introduction works off an idea, guys, in psychology called the 7-second bias. And in our training, we use a lot of this. It's very, very important to understand the concept of a group setting to where, for example, if you get introduced to someone, so if I'm having a discussion with a friend, okay, and then their friend comes up and they say, oh, this is Carson, and I go, oh, hey, how you doing? Cool, okay, anyway, and I ignore them. Okay, that's a very bad first impression, a very bad 7-second bias. And at that point, if I become good friends with this individual, and then 2 years later, I do something that's gonna detriment our relationship together, they're gonna do what? They're gonna go, Carson was always an asshole. From the moment I met him, I'm not gonna give him a second chance. But if I'm talking with my friend and we're engaged in conversation and this other friend comes up and they introduce me and I say, oh, hold on one second. Oh, hey, how you doing? Oh, that's great. Oh, awesome. Oh, cool. Well, hey, it's nice to meet you. Oh, by the way, anyway, so then I get back to my story. I put on a good 7-second bias, right? A good 7-second impression. And then the same thing happens 2 years later. I put that out there, and what are they gonna say now? Carson was always a good guy. I've always known he's been a good guy from the start. I'll give him a second chance. That's the power of the first 7-second bias, guys. Not only that, those intentions or impressions make life-lasting situation in your head for years to come. A good example of how this works within the brain, guys, is that influence of that first interaction is if you, for example, let's just say that you leave your hometown. When you were a kid driving in high school, there was this one alleyway where you saw someone getting killed, right? You actually saw it. Then the cops came, you drove by and saw it, right? Now you label that as a dangerous alleyway. So you leave, you go somewhere else, you leave your town and you grow up, you get married, you come back and visit every once in a while, but finally you come back after 20 years and you drive down that same street and you look down that road and you remember that, right? You remember that. That's how powerful that street is. Oh, that's always a dangerous street. Let's pretend they leveled the whole street and made a playground. You're still gonna be a little bit, oh, that's that. That's the power of the first 7-second bias. And working in this industry, guys, as sales professionals, to where there's a lot of mistrust. There's a lot of companies that take advantage of clients. And if you're working for a company that doesn't, it's important to understand is that you still have to sell in that industry. You still have to sell in our industry. So having that first confident introduction with stating the agenda, confident introduction, first 7-second bias, have a very good positive relationship is going to set the tone for the rest of the steps of the sale to fall in place. And it's gonna be much more difficult if it's awkward or if it wasn't right. You're gonna have to do a lot of work to get that deal closed by the end of the steps of the sale. So that's your tip, guys. Keep emphasis on where you put yourself. If you're in a good spot with your merchant, make sure you're in the right environment to start that communication. Very, very important step. It will allow everything else to fall down. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate you joining the Merchant Services Slayers page, and we'll put out some more tips here coming soon. Thanks for tuning in.